Hundreds of flights have now been canceled and thousands of passengers stranded following a harrowing tear in a plane's fuselage, which ended with an emergency landing Friday night. Tonight, airline mechanics are scouring dozens of other planes looking for more cracks. The airlines say they did not know this sort of strain was even a problem. What else don't they know? Lisa Stark brings us this important investigation.
Airlines worldwide are beginning emergency inspections of 175 Boeing 737s, 80 of them in the U.S., most flown by Southwest. That airline has already looked at more than 60 of its planes. It has found cracks in the fuselage on 3 of its jets. All of this to prevent another Southwest Flight 812.
On a scale of 1 to 10, about 25. I've never been that scared in my life.
In Phoenix at about 3:45 Friday afternoon, the 737, carrying 118 passengers, departed for Sacramento. Just 18 minutes into the flight, as the jet was climbing through 34,000 feet, what sounded like an explosion.
It was scary. I was 1 row from where the plane blew out, and we all had that moment when we thought we weren't sure what was going to happen.
It sounded like a big tire popping in, and the pressure in the cabin was it's hard to describe.
A 5-foot section of the fuselage ripped apart on the top of the jet. Passengers could see the open sky, and at 34,000 feet, temperatures can be as low as minus 60 degrees.
I was in the very front of the plane, so I felt the plane lurched. There was a loud thunk. It instantly depressurized. The oxygen masks came down.
Oxygen masks deployed automatically as the cabin rapidly depressurized. The pilots immediately radioed air traffic control declaring an emergency, and then turned sharply to the right, the plane diving 23,000 feet in under 5 minutes.
Almost passed out. I mean, your ears instantly start to hurt really bad. You feel like you're going to black out. You get really dizzy. Once you get the oxygen mask on, it takes, it felt like maybe 2-3 minutes before I felt fairly normal again.
Pilots continued the rapid and controlled descent to 11,000 feet, where passengers could breathe on their own.
The pilot seems calm. He says he's gonna tell us something. There's no turbulence. It's just this air in the back. But still feeling like the oxygen masks and everybody around me is tense. I'm holding this stranger's hand. I wondered. I prayed a lot.
When we could see daylight out of the plane, I go, this is, you always think of people getting sucked out of the airplanes when there's a hole in it, and it was really scary.
Scary not just for the passengers, but for everyone in the flight safety world. After the top was ripped off in a LOA Airlines plane more than 20 years ago, inspections were beefed up, and many thought safety questions about stresses on older airplanes had been answered.
That means that even though we've been dealing with these sort of problems pretty effectively since 1988, that we maybe have something new on our hands here. Something requires a different type of inspection or a different system of inspections, and that's pretty remarkable.
Fatigue cracks in the fuselage develop over time. Each takeoff and landing stresses the metal. On the Southwest jet, only visual inspections were required in the area that failed. That's why cracks in the fuselage found by NTSB investigators were never discovered earlier.
All required aircraft inspections were up to date and no discrepancies were found. There were no outstanding maintenance items at the time of the accident. All airworthiness directives were complied with and were up to date.
Because those earlier inspections found nothing, it's calling into question the nation's entire system for inspecting older aircraft.
I think this could really move the bar up a bit. We may have to change when we start inspecting these aircraft. We did not expect to see this type of failure occur in an aircraft this young.
Could this have really caused the plane to crash, this crack? Anytime a cabin opens up in a passenger airline at 36,000 feet, it's bad and it's potentially catastrophic. This had a happy ending. The instances of the past have had happy endings, but at some point you can get to the point where there's structural failure of the aircraft because the skin on the aircraft is part of that structural foundation of the aircraft.
And that large section that failed? On Tuesday, investigators will begin a microscopic examination of the metal as they try to piece together what happened. For Nightline, I'm Lisa Stark in Baltimore.